Champion players, champion club. Melbourne wins another one.
Yes, it is! Reece Terry brings up her 200 in style.
Oh, Sam Kerr! And boy, did she hit it sweet! Redemption for Golden State. One of the great playoff runs of all time is complete. The Warriors are NBA champions again.
For all your sports news, reviews, and interviews, you listen to the Sports Desk here on SYN.
Good morning, this is Liam McCabe here on Sport Desk on SYN 90.7. Just let people know our text line is not working today, but if you want to message us about what will be an action-packed show, tweet us here on at SYN Sports Desk, so at SYN Sports Desk on Twitter. Give me a message and make sure I will reply.
Yeah, we got a bumper show this morning. It's just AFL packed. It's that time of the year where I love this time of the year. It's
AFL Eve.
It's AFL Eve. Round 1 starts tomorrow night with Carlton and Richmond. But not only that, is probably of huge importance is that the AFL Women's Grand Final is starting this Saturday as well. So we're going to be talking a little bit of AFL Women's.
Very early time. A lot of talk about a twilight Grand Final AFL. This one's a bloody morning Grand Final.
12:30 start at Icon Park. So coming up, we will be looking into the crystal ball. We'll be having a preview for every single club. We're going to be predicting where we think they'll finish on the ladder. Worst, best case scenario for them, who might be their club champion, and which player's in for a big year. So make sure you stick around, and then as Liam said, tweet us when we're talking about your club. So if you're a Western Bulldogs fan like me, tweet us who you think might be the club champ or best case, worst case scenario.
Yes, who's going to win who's going to beat Bontempelli for the Bontempelli Award?
Yeah, but before we get into the AFL season, which kicks off tomorrow night, let's jump into the AFL Women's because, as I said earlier, massive grand final this weekend.
So what was meant to be just a quick discussion of the grand final, because blah, 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 turned into a massive now. We have Carlton coach getting sacked while mutually departing.
Incredible story.
Captain on her way out, and the Doggies grand final captain curse continues.
Correct, yeah. Let's start with the Carlton story because you texted me last night and 10, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. It was absolutely unreal that so Brianna Davey, who is the Carlton captain, rumoured to be wanting out of the club, and the Carlton coach is also so mutually agreed.
Yeah,
is that what they've
mutually agreed? He got sacked. Pretty much.
You'd have to argue that he's been sacked, and it's just PR to make the club look a bit better. They had a terrible season. They recruited really, really strong in the off-season. Finished wooden spoon. It's
picking up both.
They picked up
Nicola
Harris
Stevens
and Nicola Stevens.
I thought they were in for an absolute great. I had them in my grand final.
Yeah, and to be they lost Brianna Davey, but if anything, losing Brianna Davey just highlighted how weak their midfield was because they didn't have anyone that was really a really clean user of the ball or someone that could get the ball up to Taylor Harris and Darcy Vesey.
And that's the worst thing as well because I know Brianna Davey was more of a rebound defender.
Yeah.
I think Harris came.
Thank you.
Harris came. So we really couldn't mute that. That was good. Harris came into her own pretty much at the end of the year. I think kicked 2 goals in Fremantle, kicking a goal against whoever they played the week before. I think the Doggies. Yeah. Not the Doggies. I can't even remember. Adelaide probably. But yeah, they've had an absolute terrible end to the year. But yeah, so Brie Davey wants out. The rumour is Collingwood or North Melbourne's the front runner, which could be good because a few weeks ago we said that they're looking at Emma Carney. Yeah, so they're going to have Brie Davies and Emma Carney to start their team. Plus, I think Jess Winchester, who came second in the goal kicking.
Really? They want to get...
She's a Tasmanian.
Oh, okay.
And they are the North Melbourne Tasmanian Kangaroos.
Right, fair enough.
So that's my only link there. That's my only...
Yeah.
So nothing, no stone cold evidence there. It's just...
Very interesting. You touched on it earlier that the Western Bulldogs will be without Katie Brennan, and you tweeted this morning about the Western Bulldogs captain Furos, how they've so in 1954 Charlie Sutton was a captain coach, 1961 Ted Whitten was captain coach, and in 2016 Eastwood was stand-in captain. 2018 it'll be Ellie Blackburn as a standing captain.
They just can't have a. I know. Back in those days, Sutton and Whitten were both captains, but there was no proper a full-time captain. It
was just it was more standard of the day. But it is funny that the Western Bulldogs have never had your conventional captain that's led them to the grand final and won them the flag.
No, and it's gonna be it's absolutely heartbreaking for Katie Brennan. And I said before, I feel like a bit of an a-hole for thinking it's the first time I saw Katie Brennan coming out and she looking like she was being crowned. I'm like, not a very good look. You know, you want to look strong and I realised probably her in tears is probably much more stronger look than anything.
Yeah,
so
this is a baby. You know, she was a pioneer of the AFL women.
Not only is she a Bulldogs captain, her and Daisy Pearce were the two pioneers of the women's league. She's only 25, so she's very young as well. Been hampered by injury the last 2 years, and to finally come back and lead her team to a grand final, to miss out through a piss poor suspension, and
it was pretty weak.
Your unbiased opinion, it was probably the weakest reason to miss the grand final.
The arm wasn't pinned. The arm wasn't pinned at all.
She came back on.
She came back on the field. She took her free. I understand why Michael Christian has made this decision. Has made the decision because a lot of people are screaming, well, what about Trent Cotchin in the prelim last year? And it's a different system, and he's trying to, play by the rules and the rule book.
I still think Trent Cotchin shouldn't go off. See, I believe not Brie Davey, Katie Brennan should go off as well. I believe Cotchin's the right choice was made. I believe it was a football act, and you should not suspend him for a football act.
Yeah.
Because he was going for the ball, 100% going for the ball. And with the Katie Brennan one, she came back onto the field. And my issue now is, if this got suspended, it has to be all season. And it was my same reason for Dangerfield and Brodie Grundy last year. I think Cam McCarthy and a few weeks before someone else got suspended for a tackle. Yeah. And I was like, I don't believe Dangerfield should get a week, but it's been paid all season, so it has to be paid.
Yeah, okay. I get what you mean. Yeah. I think the importance of the Katie Brennan one was in round 2. Or round 3 it might have been. She got done for rough conduct, so it was an accumulative point system. If it was regular, if that was a standalone incident, she wouldn't have gotten a game, but because it was with another incident, it ended up being a one-game suspension.
I still think, with the grand final, the free kicks are different. I still think the tribunal should be different heading in.
Correct.
Because in a grand final, unless you're Bulldogs Sydney, the free kick's usually a bit even.
I definitely, I think that you can't look at it objectively, and you have to you kind of have to think, well, look, it is a grand final. Does this warrant someone missing a grand final? Particularly Katie Brennan. She, as I said earlier, she was a pioneer of the game. She's a marquee player. She's done so much for not only the Western Bulldogs but AFL women's as a whole, and it must just be heartbreaking for her. But I will say that the Western Bulldogs yesterday, Naomi Ferris got nominated for the Rising Star. That makes it 5 Western Bulldogs players to be being nominated for the Rising Star.
Even though it's pretty much a set in stone that Chloe Malloy is going to win.
Correct, but I do think that the Western Bulldogs, having finished minor premiers and having 5
many young players,
Rising Star, I'm not going to say that the Western Bulldogs are going to be out of the running anytime soon, unless these two new clubs poach all of our good players.
Well, I don't think these two are bad, but remember next year there's 4 coming in.
Correct, yeah. So the next year there's Geelong and St Kilda.
Geelong and North.
And then St Kilda, Gold Coast,
Richmond,
West Coast.
And Richmond, yeah.
Oh, well, that'll be fun. But looking at the grand final, one of my favourite things to watch will be Frederick Traub versus Lauren Spark. I think they'll probably line up on each other. Lauren Spark manned up on Tegan Cunningham, who had kicked 3 goals last week. She played on Tegan Cunningham this week, and Tegan Cunningham didn't have a touch. So phenomenal. She was in my votes for the off our other podcast, the Kennel Cough, the Western Bulldogs one, and I'm very fascinated to see. I think even if Frederick Traub kicks 2 goals, that could almost be seen as
she finished the season strong. And
4 goals in the last game.
It hasn't been confirmed yet. We're still waiting on Michael's votes. But I've got a sneaky feeling that she's going to be the winner with her and Dana Hooker both
of the 13. Sports Desk MVP, yeah.
With her and Dana Hooker both tied on 13 votes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that's going to be very interesting, yeah. But, I can't wait to see how Traub goes. And I think, unfortunately for the Doggies, 2 things are going to be against them before we wrap things up. One, with 2016, you knew they had the whole season without Bob Murphy. But now in 2018, with the women's, you got 1 game to prepare. As well as it's the kind of, team loses the grand final, then next year they win.
I get what you're saying, but I still, Katie Brennan only played 3 or 4 games this year. 4 with the Dogs, so I don't think, and they played all of
Blackburn
2016
has captained more
without it.
games than
Correct.
Brennan, though.
So I understand what you're saying, but I still think the Dogs, at least they won't. It's not like losing.
Oh, I think my second opinion is more with the you played in a losing grand final. Next year you usually end up winning.
Yeah, okay.
Unless your team's like St Kilda and Sydney who have struggled to do that.
Exactly.
So let's just quickly get your pick because I tipped Brisbane. Ben tipped Brisbane.
I'm gonna tip with
Bias.
my heart, and I'm gonna tip with the Western Bulldogs.
And you will be at the game.
Yes, of course.
Bright and early.
I've taken work off.
Our predictions, and we'll start off with the first 6 teams. Let's start off with the pride of South Australia. They are the mighty Adelaide Crows. The Adelaide Crows. Let's see.
We'll all right. So for starters, Adelaide Crows are coming off the grand final, and
Yes.
if there's anything to go off Sydney last year, Sydney started the season 0-6. Let's hope Adelaide, the losers in the grand final. But best case scenario I had for them is that they retain Rory Sloane, Taylor Walker, and Rory Sloane produced on grand final day, and beat their crosstown rivals Port on the day.
Oh,
So that's the best case scenario for Adelaide fans. What was your best case
Oh,
scenario?
mine's just a simple redemption from last year. Once you lose the grand final, the only way is up. Rory Sloane, out of all the free agencies, if Adelaide can win the flag, I think he's pretty much not each. They'll love to keep him, of course. One club players are always better than players who aren't one club players.
Yep.
But if they win the flag, he leaves. I don't think it'll hurt Adelaide as much as when Dangerfield left or when Lever left or Charlie Cameron.
It's funny that they have lost so many players over the years. They've lost Kurt Tippett, they've lost Lever, they've lost Charlie Cameron, Dangerfield, but it seems like they've just maintained. They must have a really good club culture if they can lose these players and it's not the end of the world.
The biggest issue was them is that a lot of young players now want big contracts straight away. They're still very old-fashioned. Young players have to work.
Well, even Jack Gunston left the club early on after the first season. So it's a credit to Adelaide that they, even if, let's say that Rory Sloane leaves, then Matty Crouch will probably step it up. And then in 3 years' time, Matty Crouch will be the one that they're all talking about.
Well, Brad Crouch was the one a few years ago where everyone's like, yeah, he's gone 100%. He's off to Hawthorn, buy him a Hawthorn jumping out, and then he re-signed.
Yeah.
And maybe because his brother was there, because I know his brother's signed for another 4 years, so I think he's there until 2021, I think.
Yeah.
Probably, definitely a future captain of the club, you would think.
I agree. Worst case scenario, I had departures of Jake Lever and Charlie Cameron, coupled with Brodie Smith's injured ACL, so he's out obviously all season. See them slip down the ladder.
Yeah.
I don't see him slipping outside of the 8, but if they get those bottom 8 spots, it's probably going to be... it's probably the worst case scenario I see.
Yeah,
for
mine's
Adelaide.
the exact same with the loss of Lever and that. Walker doesn't get back to full fitness because he's out. Jenkins fails to fire.
Yep.
I personally believe Jenkins. I think he's on his way out. I still think he's got a bit to offer, but there are more bad games than good games now.
Okay.
What about your club champion?
Club champ, I had Matt Crouch.
Oh, same. 100%.
And breakout season?
Breakout season, I would say the Fog.
Yeah, same.
Fog.
So we had the exact same club champ. Breakout season, Darcy Fogarty. He was picked 12, I think,
and
in the
he's
draft.
playing this week as well with Doherty.
Doherty, yeah.
So they're both being told they're playing.
Yeah, so exciting times for Adelaide. They're going to turn around. Next club up off the rank, Brisbane. Best case scenario, I said, is further development and promising signs from Hipwood, McCluggage, Cutler, Andrews, McStay, Ben Keys, Matheson, Berry, Witherden. They've got a very long list of young players. If they can continue to show improvement, I don't think they're going to push the finals this year, but I think that's the best case scenario.
I've got Josh Walker keeps his hairline, but that's a completely different one.
Okay.
But then I've got as well the development of young players, the implement of the experience of Hodge.
Yep.
Dane Beams again plays a full season. I know last year was the most games he ever played.
Yep.
And I think it was stiff to not win Captain of the Year last year. I thought it was fantastic for Brisbane.
Okay.
Dane Zorko is back to, continues at his elite best. Worst case scenario, I think we'll both do the same. They fail, struggle again, and finish last.
So I've gone, my worst case scenario for Brisbane would be for Cam Rayner to announce he's homesick and leave for a Melbourne-based club after 1 year at their realm.
Oh, that would be stiff considering he signed to 2021. That would be all.
Oh, he is signed to 20.
Yeah,
okay, there you go.
He's already re-signed.
Oh, boom. Well, that's good for...
Players break contracts all the time now.
Exactly.
Watching breakout star?
My club champion was Dane Zorko.
Same.
I think he's a gun.
Yep.
And breakout season, I still think Eric Hipwood has the opportunity to turn all of his highlights packages into consistent
So I forgot
performances.
I did forget about the one we forgot. Adelaide, a big season. I said Josh Jenkins for Adelaide.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Fogarty for
No,
breakout
that's
season.
a breakout, but a big season for like someone who's down and out.
Okay.
Who do you think a big season?
Oh, no, I haven't put down a big season, so I've only got breakout season.
Well, I've got, so I think it's going to be a big season for Tom Bell
Okay.
for Brisbane.
Yep.
And I do agree with you that Eric Keeper with the breakout season really handle the pressure of being buddy-like or really go on his way.
Okay. Awesome. Next club is Carlton.
Yes, see how they go about Doherty.
Doherty and Gibbs. So it's going to be an interesting season. What was your best case scenario for Carlton?
My best case scenario is having scoring power, scoring over 100 points.
Yeah.
Players like Charlie Cameron, Kaz Bolt, and then the improvement of players like Paddy Dow and O'Brien.
Yeah. I had Charlie Curnow, Pachevsky Seaton.
Did I say Charlie Cameron or Curnow?
You said Charlie Cameron. Charlie Curnow, yep. Pachevsky Seaton, Jacob Wadering and Harry Mackay continue to show promise, and they're the guys that are going to get them those.
And Jonesy. Let's not forget about good old Liam Jones.
I'm looking more at the forward half because that is a problem. They can't really score, so that's what's going to get them up. And I think best case scenario, probably 8 or 9 wins. I don't think they're... Without Sam Doherty in the back line and Bryce Gibbs, I think it's going to be a long season for Carlton fans.
They did score over 100 points against Hawthorn, but in movie terms, it's not canon. Doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you do an injury. Worst case scenario, again, they fail to score. Players don't develop as they like. The GWS seconds they have all fail, and they finish dead last.
Yeah, my worst case scenario is that they go backwards from... They had 6 wins last year. If they sort of hit that same mark or go backwards, then there's going to be some serious questions asked of Brendan Bolton.
Yes, I also got that Bolton gets sacked as well as my worst case. If they have a Brownlow fantasy, who would you say?
Oh, I couldn't pick one player that would win the
Brownlow.
Brownlow
fantasy, sorry, club champion.
Oh, club champ, I think Liam Jones will win it for him.
What a story. I've got Charlie Curnow.
Charlie Curnow.
Well, the guy I have no idea what the hype's about, but I'm bringing him there. I'm buying into the hype.
Big hype man, isn't he? There seems to be a lot of love for Charlie Curnow. Due for a breakout season?
Paddy Dow.
Yep, the exact same.
And I believe it's going to be a big year for Mark Murphy. I always put him and Trent Cotchins the same type of player. Yeah. But now Cotchins is a Brownlow medalist and a Premiership captain, all in 1 year, where Mark Murphy just really hasn't... He's never broken the glass ceiling.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Let's go to everyone's favourite team, Collingwood.
Yes, of course. Best case scenario for me is that 1, they play finals footy, and 2, they land the big fish, Tommy Lynch.
Yes, I've got pretty much the both. I've got they land Tom Lynch or Rory Sloane. They play finals, and they improve in their scoring, their forward entries.
Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario for me was more same from the past 2 seasons. So this inconsistency, they get close against some of the better teams and then lose games that they should win. And then the other side I had of that was if Jordan De Goey slips up again, there will be emergency bells ringing at Collingwood.
Club champ, who's got you?
My club champ, I had Steele Sidebottom. I still think he won it last year. I reckon he'll go again.
He's one of the most underrated players in the comp.
Correct, yeah.
But I've got Chidor.
Oh, really? Fair enough.
Adam Chidor. It's going to be played to watch this year. I want to say Darcy Moore. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes in the back line.
Yep.
There's a lot of hype on him being the son of a Brownlow medalist.
Correct, yeah. And he's obviously been much maligned because he's been in the forward line. He hasn't had much help up there, so maybe a move into the back line will be good for him.
Is he your breakout player?
I haven't written down a breakout player. Due for a breakout season.
That's what I meant.
Oh, sorry. Callum Brown, 19 years old. He played 5 games last year, but in that last game against Melbourne, he had 19 disposals under his belt. So, one to watch. He's the son of another Brown that played in the 90s for Collingwood, and I've forgotten his name.
Also, pick one, Stephenson.
Yes, Jaden Stephenson.
And Sam Murray, who came from Sydney, are both being told they're going to play round 1.
Yeah, so that'll be really good.
I think it's really good for Sam Stephenson, who had the heart issue, and that's why they were a bit iffy about picking him up.
Yeah. And
but if everything's fine, he's going to be an absolutely fantastic player.
Well, that's it. They always said that they struggled to pick an AFL player, which he was similar to, just because he was such a unique kind of player, pure power. It's going to be fascinating to see how he goes.
I've got a big year for Jordan De Goey. Has to be.
Yeah, big time.
He has to. He's walking on eggshells at the moment. So.
Yep. The next club is Essendon. Very big off season for Essendon. They got some huge recruits, but what do you see as their best case scenario?
Best case scenario is, I'll say, Stringer plays well. Stringer makes gives them a reason why they picked him, and they make top 4.
Make top 4. Yep.
And they win a final for the first time since 2004, by the way.
Nice. I had the same thing in top 4 finish. I think that'll be their best case scenario. But I also think Jake Stringer and Joe Danaher could both kick over about 45 goals each, and that'll be a very deadly forward line duo to try and match up on.
And also, best case scenario is Stringer to Orazio Fantasia. Like BT would get a bit too excited.
Yeah, worst case scenario?
I've got 2. One, they continue the current longest losing streak in finals.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2004 was a long time. It's hard to think of Essendon having won finals for so long.
It is a long time.
And most of the time they got smashed. I think 90-odd points against Adelaide and Carlton.
Yep.
Just lost to North. They got kicked out in 2013 because of the drug saga, and they got smashed by Sydney.
Yeah.
And so not making the final, current final losing streak, or even worst of all, Stringer doesn't fire, Star doesn't fire, Devon Smith doesn't fire, and they miss the 8 altogether.
Yeah, I had worst case scenario is I think their midfield depth might get exposed, and if one of their premium on-ballers gets injured, that's probably their worst case. Lack of midfield depth, Club champ?
Club champ, I'm going to go with Zach Merritt. Essendon's probably best player at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to go with
Zach Merritt or Joe Danaher.
Yeah, I went with Fantasia. I think he's just going to go up another gear.
Well, I was going to go with Fantasia, but I think he's missing the first 4 rounds.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, due to injury, yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, then in that case, I probably will go with Zach Merritt.
The player to watch is going to be Ahmed Saad.
Yep.
I think he's fantastic at the Gold Coast, especially running off defence. He's going to be good for Essendon.
Yep.
And played a big year for Jake Stringer, of course.
Yeah, I've got breakout season for Connor McKenna. He's the Irish boy. He's probably one of the best kicks in the game now. He joins another Irishman in Zach Tui, who's just taken to the kicking skill.
I hope he can do a barrel like Zach Tui can do.
Yeah, 90 metres. So that'll be one to watch for me. We'll have one more club before we go to another song.
It's the Fremantle Dockers.
And this, your club, Freo Dockers. Well, what's the best case scenario in your perspective?
My perspective is they surprise everyone to make the 8, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
Because they do have a good young list, but it's like people seem to forget, and kind of did my head in listening to last season, with talking about how this year's been a failure. Halfway through the year, Freo was 5th on the ladder. I know they dropped off, but they were 5th on the ladder once they implemented youth. I remember the game against the Doggies where it was kind of rehaul of the Fremantle team. Yeah. And they defeated the first team to defeat the minor premiers since they won the grand final. So, sorry, the reigning premiers. So I think, they surprise everyone. They make the 8, and they continue the blooding of youth.
Yes, I said mix of wins and getting games into young players, because they have got quite a nice young list.
Well, Brayshaw and Banfield have been told they're playing round 1, so always good to see that. And players like Chera and Cronin should be not far behind.
Correct. My other half to the best case scenario was that Harley Bennell to turn a new leaf. He's on very thin ice, but and I'm sure he'll hopefully repay the faith showed in Ross Lyon.
Yeah, I have him from when I do my big year 4.
Yeah.
But I've got 2 plays for that. Worst case scenario is, again, they fail to score. They have a mid-season drop-off. Ross Lyon sticks to his old players.
Yeah.
Like, I know AFL did they call it their wallpaper, and they have all these players, like, with, like, a nice background. I think they had the Bont for the Bulldogs. Yeah. And my issue, they had Daniel Pearce for Fremantle.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, and out of all the players were good. All the 18 players were nice. But why would you have Daniel Pearce, who's 31, looks like he's on his way out, barely played, I think he played like 6 games last year. Yeah. Just, he would probably...
Interesting selection.
And not, I've always stuck up with Daniel Pearce. A lot of Freo supporters are like, oh, he's really bad. He's played 250 games. Yeah. He's one of those players that just there, he does his job. But not the player you have as a wallpaper person in 2018 when he's probably in his final year.
Yeah. My worst case scenario was that similar. Forward woes continue to plague Freo as Taberner and McCarthy failed to fill the hole that's still left there from the past.
You mean Tablage?
Tablage.
Yeah, Freo supporter on Twitter started calling Matthew Tablage, and I absolutely love that name. Tablage.
Who's your club champ?
Oh, the guy with the best arms in the AFL.
Is it Fife?
Fife and Aaron Phillips, who have the best arms in football.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
They both have massive arms.
Yeah. And my breakout player,
Sean
Who's
Darcy.
your
Best and first?
Yeah, Knife as well.
Yeah, Knife. Sean Darcy?
Sean Darcy, I think, Sandilands, you can almost bet your bottom dollar that he's going to get injured at some point throughout the season, and Sean Darcy will come in, showed it last year that he's got it. I think he'll take it to the next level.
Not saying Victoria bias here, but absolutely stiff to not get a NAB Rising Star nomination.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
He was phenomenal last year.
He was.
I think he'll take it to the
If it makes you guys feel better, he's Victorian. and might give him some leeway here with you, big bias people. My player to watch the centre year, I think, is for Tabledge.
Yeah, right. The Tabner.
Yeah, the Tab himself.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it's hard to take preseason form into regular season, but I think I said it last week that instead of now playing as a permanent forward, he is playing ruck. He's moving up the ground.
Yeah.
Because he has he's got a Nick Revolt type tank on him. Mm-hmm. So for him just playing, full forward is not a good look. But him playing up the ground can play ruck, kick goals. If you can have 15 touches a game and even just kick a point, it's better than him kicking 2 goals and doing nothing for the rest of the game.
Yeah. How old would Matthew Taberner be?
He's 24.
24. Okay, yeah. So he's still got a very long time ahead.
I'm going to compare him to probably the best fullback at the moment, but people forget that Alex Rance was a Richmond whipping boy at one point.
Yeah, okay.
They absolutely hated Alex Rance. Now he's the most loved defender in the AFL.
Yeah.
Big year for.
Safe
to say Benal.
Yeah, probably Benal. I'm with you on that.
I've also got Hayden Ballantyne for Fremantle.
Yeah.
He's played last game against West Coast was good, but he's with the inclusion of Matera, Michael Walters, who can do forward and midfield, plus players like Lockie Neal, who can also play small forward if they need him to.
Yeah.
It's do or die for him if he wants to sign on for another year.
We're gonna reload from where we took off. We've just previewed the first 6 teams in alphabetical order, and we're up to the Geelong Cats, who have the big 3. They've added Gary Ablett to Dangerfield and Selwood. What's the best case scenario for the Cats down in Kardinia Park?
Oh, the 3-some fires, really.
Yeah, correct.
You can't go past that. The big 3 delivers a cup.
Mm-hmm.
I currently live in Geelong, and I'm really afraid to see what happens if Geelong wins the flag, especially because if you're not a Geelong supporter, you're hated over there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I do love the fact that there is a town in Victoria that is a one-club town.
Yeah.
And I think
it's great.
I always say the Doggies should move to Ballarat.
Nah.
Make Ballarat a one-club town.
No way.
But, no one really cares in Melbourne because too many teams in Melbourne. I would say that, and I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, but I don't think they could get rid of a club in Melbourne at the moment. It's not like the 90s where they can ship clubs off.
Oh, where the Doggies every year were on their way out.
To go. Best case scenario for me is similar. Big 3 becomes the greatest trio in the history of the game, and I think I've just got written Premiership. I think that's got to be the goal.
And
for them.
I'm pretty sure our worst case is the complete opposite.
Correct.
The big 3 fail.
Yep. I think if they get the yips in the preliminary final again, then it'll be pretty bad. And also the arrival of Gary Ablett could be to the detriment of other mids, Mitch Duncan and Sam Menegola. You know, that could be probably one of the worst case scenarios.
Blitzer is uncontracted, and I think him and Menzel could be on their way out.
Right.
Lack of opportunity. I know Menzel was pretty much their way of getting Gary Ablett, getting rid of him.
Yeah.
Where AFL very, very nicely gave him a pick 19 for Motlop.
Yeah, I remember that. It was interesting.
Bit iffy that was.
Yeah, pick 19 was fascinating. Club champ for me is Patrick Dangerfield.
Oh yeah, same. Danger.
Breakout season, Timothy Kelly. Been watching him over at the JLT, and I think he's showing a lot of promise.
Oh, 100% agree. Yeah, I think he's going to be fantastic. Him or Sam Menegola.
Yeah.
Who's Sam Menegola before went to Geelong, went on the Hawthorn rookie list, didn't play a game, got picked up by Fremantle, was on there for 4 years, was emergency in a round, to say 15 game against St Kilda, never didn't play. So that's 5 years on a rookie list, got the list for a year, then came to Geelong and been fantastic.
Wow. What a good story.
Yeah.
And then big season for me.
Gary Ablett.
I'm going to go Tom Hawkins. I think he's going to have to produce. I don't really have another forward up there. If Dangerfield goes up forward,
I know. I do like the look of Esavav Ratalog.
Oh yeah. No,
can't pronounce his name, but he played good against Gold Coast, and he looks like an absolute solid unit.
Correct. Next club off the rank is Hawthorn.
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast. Pardon me. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Gold Coast. Where do you see them? Best case scenario.
Best case scenario is Tom Lynch resigns, and Bob Murphy's prediction is correct, and they make the 8.
Bob Murphy's predicted they make the 8.
I would not say they would make the 8, but Bob Murphy said he reminds them a lot of the 2015 Doggies.
There you go. I could definitely draw parallels between the two. That's a very fair call.
But yeah, Tom Lynch, of course, is their big. I think again, I've said it like 3 times already. I think last week I said that if they didn't have Tom Lynch to play for, it would be fantastic growing year for them.
Correct.
But they have a player that every club wants.
Yeah.
And I believe he's going to stay. Personally, I know Ben said on Monday that he doesn't think he will, but I think Tom Lynch will stay. It's a terrible look when a captain leaves. I know it was terrible look for the Doggies, especially with Griffin being a new captain. For captain to leave, it's not a good look for a club, the player leaving, or the AFL in general.
Yeah.
That's the best case scenario. Tom Lynch stays and they make the top 8.
Correct. I'll go best case scenario, Tom Lynch commits early in the season, and worst case scenario is that he walks.
You're saying Tom Lynch leaves. Doesn't really matter where they finish.
No, I agree. Club champ, Aaron Hall.
I've got David Swallow.
Yeah.
He came second last year in probably the worst best and fairest count since Fitzroy in 1996, really, in terms of go out winning it after missing 8 games is not a good look for your entire team.
Not great. The other one I was stiff to leave out was Jared Witts. I think he might steal it, playing ruck for Gold Coast.
There's a few players that I think, Jared Lyon, I think, was an absolute steal when they picked him up from Adelaide.
Yep.
And Tuke Miller has been solid.
Very solid
they're
player.
really good core midfielders. The only issue with Gold Coast is once these players get injured, who comes in.
Correct.
So look at their solid midfield. Lockie Weller, Jared Lyon, Jack Martin, Tuke Miller, David Swallow, Jared Witts as a ruck. That's a good looking midfield. It's just an issue when players start to get injured.
Yep.
And how they replace them. I've got a breakout year for Will Brodie.
Yeah.
He only played 2 games last year, but I think he's in for a big year.
Yep. I have Peter Wright taken.
2 metre Peter.
Yeah, taken top 10 pick in maybe 2-3 years ago. And he showed a lot of promise. He's
kicked the
fantastic forward.
Winning goal against West Coast last season.
Yeah. I think he'll take his game to another level. And then big year for me, Lockie Weller.
Yeah. Same, when you go from pick 11 to pick 2, there is a lot of pressure on your shoulder there.
Correct. And I mean, if he wants to be at the club, then I think that's a great image for Gold Coast. So,
well, you got to prove. I know Fremantle back in 2001 didn't as good as Luke McFarlane was. He was never a pick 1.
No.
Where Luke Hodge went up and won 4 flags, 3 as captain.
Yeah.
Pretty much one of the best captains to ever captain a team. And Luke McFarlane was good, but he was never great. Same with Trent Krog as well, was part of that deal.
Yeah.
Went back to Hawthorn and won a flag. So it was a fail for Fremantle. Let's hope for Gold Coast it's not a fail for them.
Yep. GWS.
Yes.
Best case scenario for them is that
They
list
win their
takes them
first
to the
flag.
next step. Yep.
Win their first flag.
Debut in their first grand final. I think Toby Green will repay the faith showed in him and deliver a Norm Smith.
Oh, it'd be good to see. And I think last year I actually did a theory. I did if Adelaide and for mostly Adelaide and GWS will be the grand final.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not going to be 100,000. I'm thinking 95,000. It'll be. I think I did like 20. I think I did like 50,000 Adelaide fans. I think I did like probably get 20,000. I know they have 20,000 members. 20,000 GWS fans plus the rest, all corporate and that.
Yep.
What happened with Richmond last year was fantastic in GWS point of view, having 95,000 at the game, even though they had, we'll just say, 20,000 supporters there. Same thing. So my best case scenario is they play a grand final, but they play against a Victorian team. So it looks.
Sorry, what's your reason? So that it looks like it's a packed crowd.
Yeah, it looks good on the shot.
Yeah.
Because I know
the only problem will be that if they play against, let's say, Adelaide, it'll be pretty obvious because it's red, blue, and yellow. Yeah. Red, blue, and yellow crowd, and not this the orange that we've associated with GWS.
Yes. And worst case scenario is the injuries they've had and the loss of players come back to bite them on the bum.
Yep. I think Nathan Wilson and Zach Williams. Wilson went to Freo, and Zach Williams has done his ACL, and it's leaving their back line, particularly their half back line, pretty depleted. So it will be interesting to see how they go to replenish those.
Best and first?
Dylan Shield for me.
I've got Josh Kelly.
Yep. Breakout season for me is Harrison Himmelberg, the tall forward.
Oh, he's been fantastic, Himmelberg.
Yeah, I think he'll probably, if with Mumford gone now, and then they'll have the ruckman's name that I'm forgetting.
Rory Lobb. I've got
Rory
him
Lobb
he's my player to watch.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think he'll move into the ruck.
Yeah,
and
full time.
Himmelberg will go into the forward line.
Yeah, I think Rory Lobb's been more of a ruckman anyways, rather than a forward.
Yep.
And yeah, he's my.
So big year for Rory Lobb.
No, play to watch Rory Lobb. Big year for Brett Delidio.
Yeah.
Like coming off the heartbeat of leaving Richmond and Richmond win the flag.
Yeah.
It's really, what can you do for him?
Yeah, I've got a big year for Ryan Griffin. I think he's gonna, if he can remain injury free.
Do you have a bit of hatred for Ryan Griffin?
I've gotten over it because we won the flag in 2016, so that it's not too bad anymore.
Let's go to the mighty Fighting Hawks. Best case scenario, the the J-bomb.
Yeah, I had
Mitchell,
the same thing.
they fire, they go back into the finals with the delight of everyone. Everyone can't wait to see Hawthorn play finals again.
No, they can stay out for a little while.
Yes.
I think Jago Mira stay injury-free, and best case, the injuries they had in their backline last year could almost be a blessing in disguise. The young players got a lot of game time, and if they're rejoined by the wiser heads, the depth in their squad just runs deeper.
I've got my best and fairest, Tom Mitchell.
Yep.
Oh, so worst case
scenario. Oh, yeah.
Worst case scenario, yeah, they continue to drop their lack of draft picks in the last 5 years. Come back to haunt them.
Yep.
The older players continue to get older. I know Gunston, Bruce were all out of form a bit last year. Rioli doesn't come back to his best. Frawley stays out. I know Birch was missing half the year anyways.
Yep.
So all those players fail to fire. And, yeah, they continue to drop.
Well, yeah, my worst case scenario is that they've still got the oldest list in the league. So I think their average age would be about 24, 25. And if they miss out on finals this year and they still haven't had all those draft picks, their rebuild is a lot further back than we might have originally thought. So I think worst case scenario, Luke Hodge's departure is felt more than originally thought, and their old list sets them back a few years in their rebuild. Club champ for me, this is a bit of a smoky, but I reckon James Sicily's in for a big year this year.
Oh,
The hot Sicilian sausage.
Oh, absolute hothead he is, though.
Yeah.
Nice guy. I've met him. He's not a bad person to actually talk to.
I'm sure he is.
But, he's...
White line fever.
Definitely. I've got, Tom Mitchell.
Yep.
I feel like, by the time he wins a Brownlow, he'll be completely bold.
Mm-hmm.
But hairline aside, I think he'll have a great year.
Okay.
Player to watch, I think, Connor Glass, the good old Irishman for Hawthorn, will be fantastic.
For me, I've got Blake Hardwick. He had a great year last year, playing as like a small kind of lockdown defender in the back line. I think he's going to take his game to another level, and he's going to be one of the people that benefits from having these older, wiser Premiership defenders return to the game.
Yes, and I also have player to watch, Jay Gromio.
Fair enough, yeah. The next club off the list is Melbourne Football Club. Now, a lot of people are talking about Melbourne because they missed out on the finals last year, pretty much choked in the end, lost to Collingwood. Best case scenario for me is a top 5 finish. I think they can finish pretty high on the list. I think Sam Wiedemann could kick 25 plus goals. He's a young player. He's been on the list for 2 years. And Jack Watts has obviously departed the club. So 25 plus goals would be great for Sam Wiedemann. And another one for me is that Max Gawn remains fit for the season.
My best case scenario is they go on and play finals. A lot of people now, due to the fairy tales the last 2 years, Melbourne's meant to be complete the trilogy.
The third, yeah.
The fairy tale trilogy. But I think they're probably a couple of years off a flag. But yeah, making finals, it's a must. Making finals Melbourne is an absolute must.
Correct.
And my worst case scenario is, they missed the finals again.
Yep. My worst case scenario is that their fitness trails off in the second half of the season because they didn't go on their training camp before Christmas. So let's hope that doesn't come back and bite them. Club champ Christian Petrarca. I think it was either
Ben
him
Simmons,
or Clayton
BFF.
Oliver. Yeah, best friends. Who's due for a breakout? Oh, who was your club
I'm
champ?
going to go Captain Jack Varney. I think once he comes back, he's a fantastic player. One of the most hardest nuts in the football.
Correct. Yep.
And due for a big year. Who's due for a big year? I think Jesse Hogan.
Yeah.
I was coming off a terrible, absolutely terrible last year. Not performance wise. I mean, personal life wise.
Personal life, yeah.
Something you can't even imagine what it would be like.
I had Jesse Hogan for a big year for the exact same reasons.
Yeah.
I think he's hopefully if all things work in his favour, and I hope he gets back to his scintillating best.
And so that's my player to watch. My big year, Jake Lever.
Oh yeah.
Your Lever club is such a controversy. You got to prove you're worth it.
Yeah, my breakout player this year was Sam Wiedemann, as I mentioned, a forward that's played a lot of time in the VFL. I think he will come in for Jack Watts in that kind of key positional forward, and 25 plus goals would be pretty salivating if you're a Melbourne fan.
And let's go to the wooden spoon. North Melbourne. Let's go to the best case scenario is they land a big fish.
Well, yeah, that's it. A lot of people are talking Rory Sloane, but then he's been linked to St Kilda. So
St Kilda College, yeah.
My best case scenario is they've got a pretty good. I think Robbie Tarrant in the back line, Ben Brown in the forward line, Sean Higgins in the middle. I think they're 3 pretty solid pillars. So I think those 3 help them limp through the season, and I think a big one for me is LDU, Luke Davies-Uniacke.
Oh, the UDL.
I think if he plays every game of the year, shows promise, potentially wins a Rising Star, then it might help set Kangaroos up to land a big fish.
My worst case scenario is, they finish dead last.
Yeah. I think they could still finish dead last and have a positive season. My worst case scenario is that Brad Scott gets sacked mid-season, maybe after a slow start, maybe for persisting with older players, playing Chod Goldstein, things like that.
Player to watch this year, I've got Ben Brown.
Yep.
Almost a surprise Coleman winner last year.
Incredible player.
Probably one of the best forwards going around the comp.
Yeah, I had Ben Brown as club champ and breakout season. I think Jai Simpkin...
I've got him as both. Both. I'll put him as my club champ. Forgot about club champ, but definitely my club champ.
Yeah, I think breakout season, Jai Simpkin, youngster, has been in the system for 1 year.
Yeah, had an incident during the season with the almost getting hit by a motorbike.
Yeah.
He's actually my big ear for.
Okay.
Due to what happened as well. Once you off-field issues at the start of the year, you always got to make it up to your team. We're going to head off to a song now.
Oh, sorry, big year. Big year. Luke McDonald. He's got done for drinking on their end of season trip. He's going to come back and he's going to have a point to prove.
Jump straight into our final 6 teams. Let's start off with the Power.
Port Adelaide, best case scenario for them is that their new recruits, Motlop, Rockcliffe, and Watts propel the Port to a top 4 finish, I think. And Robbie Gray and Chad Wingard push themselves into the sort of bracket with Dusty and Danger and Fife. I think they've got the power to do so. Do you like that?
They got me, actually, yeah. One of the team, the big off-season delivers them a premiership. Someone that got compared to, I think, only a few days ago, Sam Power-Pepper.
Yeah. Who's
a massive unit, already bigger than Dusty Martin. Proves to be the next Dusty. I'm not a big fan of the next. I've never been a fan of always the next. Why, instead of being the next Dusty Martin, be the first Sam Power-Pepper. That's the way I see it. Dermot Burden's always good. He loves the... the way he kicks the ball reminds me of a young Michael Tuck, how he used to play back in the 1970s.
Yep.
And just like, shut up, Derm. Sam Power-Pepper turns into the beast. Chad Wingard. I never knew this, but Chad Wingard's hated. He's on the list of... Yeah, I never thought he'd be on the list of most hated players. I just thought he was a good player.
Yeah, right.
Apparently, he's one of the most hated players. But Chad Wingard...
According to other players, or we just...
footy fans.
Right, okay.
You know how footy fans are the worst.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, the 2018 recruits turns out to be the exact same as the 2010 Brisbane recruits.
Yeah, I've said Port missed the finals. They got it wrong in the 2017 off season, and it sort of stunts their growth as a clump. And maybe even Hinkley sacked if they don't make the finals.
He's signed to 2020.
Oh, there you go.
Gold Coast with the scare in Port Adelaide when
that's
it looked
right.
like he was about to head up there.
I completely forgot about it.
Best case,
club champ.
The club champion I have is...
I got Robbie Gray. I think Robbie Gray is a gun.
I've only got Charlie Dixon.
Oh yeah.
Personally, I don't rate him. I know that sounds mean, but I don't rate him. But he came second last year.
Yeah.
I think he can kick all the goals. We have for Watty and Westhoff.
Yeah.
Big year for Jack Watts.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, he's probably he's still got that number 1 draft pick tag on him.
He has, yeah.
And
hopefully he can shake that. I think him moving to Port Adelaide will probably be nice for him to shake. I think I've said breakout season for Jack Watts. Kicked 4 or 5 or 6 or something in the
6 against Adelaide. 6 straight as well.
And then I've said it's a big year for Lindsay Thomas.
Yes, a big year. Yeah, no, a big year for me is probably Travis Boak, because a lot of pressure coming out of him as captain, and see if he can still. I think Ken Corn said he's not even in the best 10 of Port Adelaide. Very stiff to say it to a captain.
Kane Corn's unlike him to stir the pot and say something that'll incite.
God, he says a lot of positive things, doesn't he?
Next club.
The reigning premiers.
Richmond, best case scenario is just that they're no premiership hangover and they'll be looking to go back to back.
Yeah, they order from someone, they go to a different bar than the Doggies went to in 2016,
Correct, yeah. They
had a long-lasting effect.
That's it. They have a bit of a barocca and they have some hydrolite
like
before they go to bed.
Nice.
Worst case scenario is that the flag goes to their heads. They lack motivation going into the season.
Dusty partied too hard in Vegas,
Dusty is spotted near any Chinese restaurants with some chopsticks. Opposition teams do their homework. They've mitigated the mosquito fleet, as it became known as, their small forwards. That's probably my worst case scenario for them.
I also got that Richmond land Tom Lynch. I believe, I'm more for homegrown forwards. And with Jack Watts being as young as he is, I think if they want to continue doing the mosquito fleet, having one tall, having someone younger come up is better than having a 25-year-old. Like, Lynch won't miss games, but I think what happened to the Doggies last year, I think they changed their forward line around too much. I think they tried to have like 2 talls instead of having what worked in 2016.
Travis Cloak came into the side.
Oh, yeah, that's
like
it.
that.
Travis Cloak, that's who I asked. About him. Travis Cloak, it wasn't Cloakey's fault, it was just the mix up they failed.
Tried to play with a few more forwards.
I've got, best case, worst case scenario, they have the hangover. Best case, they go back to back. Best and fairest, Dusty Martin.
Yeah, I've got Dusty as well. I think it's a pretty obvious selection. Breakout season for me is Jack Graham.
Yep. The guy who can go from a life membership Premiership player to a NAB Rising Star.
It's incredible, isn't it? I think he might even be a sneaky pick for the Rising Star. Who have you said it's a big season for at Richmond?
Big season for at Richmond. Rhys Conker.
Okay, yeah.
They keep on giving him chances, and I know he has injury in that, but I think he might maybe squeeze into the lineup. Mm-hmm. And if he's like every player, if you're into the lineup, your job is to keep your spot.
Yeah.
What about you?
I kind of did another breakout season, but I think Jack Higgins, high draft pick.
Yes.
They've said he's a bit like a Caleb Daniel. A lot of clubs overlooked him, but he had probably the best scoring and testing. So, yeah, I think Jack Higgins is in for a big season.
Let's go to the Saints. Where do you see him marching this season?
I'm a bit apprehensive going in with the Saints this year. I don't know how they'll go with the departures, but best case scenario, Rory Sloane chooses St Kilda as his preferred club.
Well, I've got best case scenario, Gaff, McGovern or Sloane join St Kilda. They've got 3 players that are looking forward, but the issue is Fife and Josh Kelly were meant to go to St Kilda last year. Yeah. Both of their clubs.
Didn't work.
I don't think they were ever really interested in Dusty Martin. Mm-hmm. I know North Melbourne mainly Dusty Martin.
Very keen on him.
They landed a big fish. Worst case scenario, lack of star power. The issue with St Kilda is they're very... Who do they have as a team? People tell them to make the 8, but who do they have to take into that? They don't have a X factor.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at Carlisle, you could look at Seb Ross, David Armitage is coming back, but the loss of Rewalt, I think they've lost that kind of one marquee.
And I think Jack Stevens might miss round 1 with an ankle injury.
Jack Stevens is going to have a massive year. Billings is the one that I think can probably go to the next level. But worst case scenario for me is Paddy McCartan has another interrupted season and gets concussed again. I think
he might have to take up the Angus Brayshaw route and just wear the helmet.
Yeah,
I think if you get more than 2 concussions in the season, you should at least wear a helmet for the rest of the year.
Club champ for me is Jack Sinclair, and breakout season Jade Gresham.
I've got a breakout season Hunter Clark, club champion Seb Ross.
Yeah.
Another future captain, the cousin of Joe Watson. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player, and played a big season for Paddy McCartan. He has to prove.
Huge season. Yeah. We're running out of time at the moment. I'm just looked over at the clock and we're getting very close. But next club is Sydney. Best case scenario for Sydney is I think Sam Reid has the potential to kick 30-plus goals alongside Buddy. And Dan Hanbury gets back to his scintillating best. And the Swans launch into the AFL season. So they get over that 0-6 start last year.
I've got the best case scenario after losing 14-16. They win 2018.
Yep.
Worst case scenario... the last year's start was not a one-off. I've got my club champion, Luke Parker.
Yeah, club champ for me is Lance Franklin. I think
buddy.
I think he's still one of the easily the best player in the league.
Player to watch. I've got breakout year for Tom McCartan, the brother of Paddy McCartan. I think he looks like he's about to fit in round 1. Play good year. Also, I've got Alex Johnson.
Yep.
Big year. He's my big year for Alex Johnson. See if he can finally come back. Hasn't played since 2012.
Correct. I think Will Hayward, 21, picked 21 in the 2016 draft. Kicked 22 goals last year, which is pretty impressive. And with another preseason under his belt, I think he will absolutely flourish.
Yeah, we'll just quickly get through the last 2 teams, and we'll do our 2018 season prediction.
Correct. So the West Coast Eagles, interesting kind of setup for them. They've lost Prittis and Mitchell, even though Mitchell wasn't there for that long. But best case scenario for me, I think you can almost bank that Josh Kennedy will kick 60, 70-plus goals, but I reckon he'll kick 80 goals. Nick Nat will return to Australian form, and Luke Shuey will lead a somewhat younger midfield.
I've got my best case and worst case are the same. They keep Gaffin McGovern.
Yep.
Worst case, they lose Gaffin McGovern.
Yeah. Worst case for me, McGovern leads West Coast, and to join his brother in Adelaide, but to
Oh,
just leaves West Coast
that's
at
an
all.
interesting one there. Yeah, joins
Yeah.
in Adelaide.
Club champ,
Luke Shuey.
Elliot Yeo for me.
Oh, yo.
Breakout season, Willie Rioli. I think
Rioli?
kicked
I've got,
17 goals from 8 games in the Waffle, so I think he'll come into with the departures at the club. I think he'll slot in it nicely.
I've got Oscar Allen, who might probably
Yep.
play round 1 since Kennedy's not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Big year for Shannon Hearn.
Yeah.
He's the captain, has never really set the world alight. I think he finished top 10 last year in the best and fairest, but he's never been that player that they need, that he should be as a captain. I think the good example was in the 2015 grand final when he missed the most important kick of the game. I think he hit the post when the West Coast really needed a goal.
Yeah.
Your mob, let's start off.
Best case scenario for me is you hear about people talking about 2-day hangovers. I don't know if there's such a thing as a 2-year hangover, but the Doggies hangover is cured. Libby gets back to his best, and I think Boyd and Shaki become the twin towers of the forward line.
Well, last time you were on a 62-year hangover, so...
Yeah, exactly.
No, best case scenario for me, they jump back in the 8.
Yeah.
The new look back line. Eastwood moves back to defence. So
Yeah.
Luke Beveridge realised he made a stupid mistake playing an all-Australian defender in the forward line. Worst case scenario, they continue to fall. They had their 2 years of fame, drop down the ladder.
Yeah.
Back to where most people thought they should be anyways, coming 2015.
Yeah, worst case scenario is probably that their lack of talls in defence. We've seen Morris go down, although he's not a tall, but key defender, and also Marcus Adams is out for a long time.
Which led to Alan Norton playing his first game on the weekend. Going to be a fantastic pick-up he is.
Correct. So another finish outside the top 8, and there may be questions being asked of Bevo as if whether it was a one-off thing. Club champ for me is Jackson McRae. What about yours?
I've got the Bont.
Bont, yeah.
Going to go the Bont. Player to watch this year, I'm going to say Tom Boyd.
Yeah.
I predicted last year that he's not going to, his grand final was a one-off, and I was kind of right. But I think, he was an number 1 draft pick. If he can get back to that grand final form, he'll be unstoppable, really.
I don't think it's going to be a big year for him, only because he hasn't played a lot of footy. He obviously had a lot of problems with mental health, so I think 2019 is his year to get right back into it. Let's have a look into our crystal ball. This is our last little bit at the moment here. Who's your tick for the Brownlow?
My Brownlow is the Bont.
The Bont?
Yep.
Oh, I'm flattered. I think Dangerfield will win it this year.
And Ben, our
Executive producer, yeah.
Got Fife as his Brownlow medalist.
Oh, there you go. 3 different picks. Coleman.
I've got Joe Danaher.
Oh, okay. I've gone Kennedy.
And Ben went Tom Lynch.
Tom Lynch from Gold Coast?
Yep.
Or Adelaide? Okay.
Well, I actually didn't say, he just said Tom Lynch.
There you go. That can be assumed.
Yes.
Rising star, I've gone Jack Graham from Richmond.
I've gone Paddy Dow.
Yeah.
And a bit of bias on Ben's behalf, but went...
sure.
Alex Reed,
Witherden.
Yeah, Witherden, yep.
Okay. And who do you predict will be the Premier?
Well, I'll go for my ladder.
Okay, sure.
Adelaide, Geelong, Sydney, Richmond, top 4.
Adelaide, Geelong, Sydney, Richmond, yeah.
Port, Melbourne, Giants, Essendon to my top 8. Collingwood, Doggies, Hawthorn, Freo, West Coast, Gold Coast, St Kilda, Brisbane, Carlton, and North Melbourne.
North Melbourne last. My ladder looks a bit like this. I've got Gold Coast at 18th, 17th is Carlton, North at 16th. I think Brisbane will finish 15th, Collingwood 14th, Fremantle 13th, St Kilda 12th, Hawthorn 11th, West Coast 10th. Essendon have just missed out on the 8 for me. They're going to finish 9th. The top 8 goes Melbourne, Port, Western Bulldogs, Richmond. And then the top 4 is Adelaide, Sydney, Geelong, GWS.
And so let's do our last few. We've got grand final.
Grand final, I think, will be GWS versus Sydney. A little bit of a Sydney derby.
I've got Adelaide, Geelong, with Adelaide winning.
Yep. And then who's your Premier?
Adelaide.
Yeah, okay. I've gone GWS.
You're same with Ben.
Yeah. And then headline, you will see.
I've got Warriors Sloan leave Adelaide as a Premiership player.
There you go. And headline, you won't see.
AFL recognised Tasmania as an AFL playing state and plans to start a team in the 2020s.
Fantastic. My headline, you'll see Jake Stringer kicks 5 goals and is handed the Anzac medal against Collingwood in round 5.
And last but not least, Ben has JBS finally arrived as Destiny looks ominent.
Okay. Headline, you won't see. Match review officer Michael Christian gets another decision right, and AFL fans unanimously applaud. And I think he's going to be in for a long season.
Yes, and that's all the time we have for today. AFL kicks off tomorrow with the Tigers facing the Blues.
Oh, I can't wait.
Make sure you join us. Join Neve and Michael on Friday at the Sport Desk. This is Sport Desk on SYN 90.7.